What's up, fellow dropshippers? Today is Tuesday, which means it's time for another live Q&A. So I'll be answering all the questions that you guys sent me this week in the comments of the videos and through email and on my Instagram, as well as any other questions that are coming in live to anyone who's watching it live on YouTube. So I'm going to be giving it about 3-4 minutes before I start. So anyone watching this later, feel free to fast forward. I'm just going to wait for some people to actually show up because it's a few minutes before 8 and I always start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, I already have some people. Let's get social, must watch TV. Yes, thanks. I got a lot of questions from you. Let's get social info. So I'll be answering them once we start. Ayub, hi. Hey, what's up? Welcome. Hope everyone had a good holiday. Steven, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it just in a minute. Just going to wait for some more people to show up. Keelit says, hi, men dropshipping. I guess that's myself and my husband. We're the men who are dropshipping. Hey, Becky. Becky's in the house. Glad to see you. How's your Boxing Day going, Becky? Becky's from the UK. Her YouTube channel is in the link in this description of any of my videos, so check her out. She dropships in the UK and in US, but she's from the UK. Monica likes my bow tie. I made a short video. I always wear bow ties to my 9 to 5, so I was still wearing it in the last video. Got a couple more for the holidays as a gift. Just gonna give it about another minute before we start. All right, guys, so let's get started. Steven already has a question. He wants to know, are returns crazy for you? They are coming in fast for me. Yeah, Steven, I've noticed a lot of returns starting, I guess it was yesterday or maybe even the day before. And they're just completely random items. They really have nothing to do with Christmas, I don't think. Um, I don't know what it is. I guess I do know what it is. We had a huge uptick in sales over November and December. So the more sales you get, the more returns you're going to get. So that's really all it is, I think. Yeah, it's annoying, but it's part of doing the business. Chewbacca 500s, watching from South Carolina. Welcome. Big fan of Chewie. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I hope you checked out the new movie. Let me know what you think, Chewbacca. I have a list of questions. Let me just pull them up. Okay, Darren asked me about Amazon tracking numbers. So for those of you who don't use Amazon or have never used Amazon as a source, um, you can drop ship from Amazon to eBay. It's really popular, but the problem is that a lot of times you won't get a UPS or FedEx tracking number from Amazon. Instead, you'll get an Amazon logistics tracking number, which looks like AMZ underscore US. And this you can only track in your Amazon account. You can't track it on any other website. So eBay does not accept it as a valid tracking number. So what this means is that the customer is still going to get the item. And if they're cool, they just accept it. No big deal. You don't upload a tracking number. You get a slight ding on your tracking uploads, but the tracking doesn't really matter for your metrics on eBay. But if the buyer opens up a case saying they never received the item, you don't have a tracking number showing it's delivered, so they're going to rule in the buyer's favor. So the only other way around that is if, let's say you ship it to Chicago and you happen to ship another item around the same time to Chicago, you could say that that was the tracking number for that item, but that gets a little iffy. That's against eBay's rules, so you didn't really hear that from me. And it only works if you're really lucky. Becky wants to know, do you delete listings that are slow? I sometimes try to, but then you just never know what will sell. Yeah, Becky, that's a good point. I've played around with leaving listings up and deleting them. And I haven't really seen that any listings that are more than like 60 to 90 days old that haven't sold, I haven't seen them actually sell. That said, I know some people who do leave listings up and do see them still sell, but they have like 20, 30,000 listings. So, inevitably those will sell, but I just don't know how much it's really worth it if you do cost benefit analysis over, you got to take into account how much it costs to have the listing fees each month, and also the software you use to update the items to make sure that the price is right, either SKU Grid or DSM tool. That costs money depending on the number of listings. So it's really cost benefit analysis. To me, I like deleting listings that are 90 days old that haven't sold. Let's Get Social says, should we keep 19% as a break-even point in DSM tool or adjust it to higher or lower? That really depends. This is Let's Get Social info is asking this. It really depends. I mean, that's 19% is probably a good average, but in some states, tax is much more expensive. It's going to be more than 19%. So I leave mine at 19. I think it about averages out, but that doesn't include any profit. So you want to also add in some profit there. PFC Wills wants to know, I know you reload Home Depot gift cards online through the website, but after a while it will block it due to security reasons. What do you do to avoid that? I've never had that issue with the gift cards. Is this something that you've experienced or just something you've heard? Because I've never experienced this myself. And I imagine that if you call them, you could tell them that it's a valid transaction, call your bank, tell them it's valid, and it'll go through. Steven wants to know, do you feel customer service has improved using virtual assistants? I'm thinking about it, but I'm scared to give control to someone that does not care about the business as much as me. Steven, that's a great question. I do feel like customer service in my store has improved using a virtual assistant. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, I have 2 virtual assistants helping with customer service. I'm also doing some customer service. This means that customer questions are getting answered faster, which customers like. Also, the truth is the VAs are less involved, or they care less about the store. That's true, but I think that's actually a good thing. It means that they're less emotional about it. So they're not going to get angry at a customer and get snarky with them. I give them a bunch of scripts that they just have to follow. It's almost automatic. They can change the script a little bit. I encourage them to do that to make it appropriate for the situation, but there's no emotion in it. I tell them they have to be very nice to the customer. The VAs go in, they do their job, and they're not as emotional about it as I am. I actually have these scripts. If you go to my website, thehustlehusbands.com, and sign up for my newsletter, you'll get a free link to all the scripts that I use. It's kind of like an ebook, short ebook I put together all about how to do customer service in eBay. Just some general pointers, and then all the scripts that I use, and that I also send to my VAs for them to use. Travis wants to know how much profit I use on top of the 20% break-even point. So Travis, that really depends on a lot of factors. Some of the factors including how much I'm getting in cash back, and whether this is a new item or an item that's already sold. So for newer items, I'm going to make going to make the profit very low because I'm just interested in getting some sales for that item, getting like the ball rolling. Once the item starts selling and starts ranking and people see that like social proof that it's a good item because I see it sold, then I can bump up the price a little bit and it'll still sell even if people are undercutting me. So Christian Gomez wants to know, when items sell for you, do you then add more items from the same category? And he says he doesn't really see any trends. So yeah, that's a good point. I've noticed the same thing, Christian, that in a random, you'll have like 30 hammers listed and one will sell like 100 times and the others won't sell at all. And that's just the way eBay works, and as far as I can see. Some categories, though, do sell very well, more than others. But in general, customers see one item and they all get locked on the same one. I'm not really sure why that is. So instead of branching out in categories or specific categories like hammers, I might take a popular item and find items with the same brand, or maybe items that when you go on Home Depot, it will show you the items that are commonly bought with that item. I might list those ones as well. That's an easy way to kind of branch off. Dante S wants to know, any issues with allowing virtual assistants to get into your account? Any worries about that? So at first, I really limited my VA's access to my accounts. I used third-party software to allow them to do the work they needed to do without them actually having access to my eBay account. And that worked to a degree, but it was limiting. It took them a lot more time, and I ended up having to do a lot of the work because I had to then go in and do all the stuff they couldn't do. So that does work up to a degree, such as a message software called Reply Manager is really, really great. I've talked about that before. It's really cool. And TrackerBot, if you use that, that's in the description of my videos. That uploads tracking numbers automatically, but if any tracking numbers are missed, VAs can upload the tracking number through that manually. And there's some other tricks with VAs to not give them access. But in general, I find ones I trust, ones that are reliable and loyal, and I do give them access to my eBay account, and I haven't had any issues yet. Ayub says his sales are slow. He decreases margins lower because he wants momentum. Yeah, that's a good idea. Do anything you can to just get that momentum, get the ball rolling, lower your margins, increase your handling time if you can realistically do that. You don't want to ship items out late. Dante says, do you or your VAs use any VPNs? Yes. We use CyberGhost. It's a very good VPN. I give the VAs access to it if they need it. Not all of them need it. And I use it when I'm traveling. Oh, a pretty cool trick is some like Netflix only has some shows available if you live outside the United States. So I use my VPN to watch those shows even when I'm in the United States. Like the new Star Trek series, you can only watch on Netflix if you're outside the USA. So I just change my location and we watch Star Trek for free. Well, we pay for Netflix. Steven says, I did $54,000 in sales the last 30 days with only 500 items. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Is it logistical to assume if I list 1,000, I should get to around 100,000 a month? Yes and no, Steven. If you continue to list the way you're listing, then I would assume that you would get to $100,000 a month. But if you just list any random item, then no, I don't think that will work. Whatever you're doing, you just got to repeat it. And then you got to repeat it again and repeat it again. That's what I did. I found a system that worked, and I repeated it, and I repeated it, and repeated it, and that's how I got to where I am. Yeah, Becky also uses a VPN for Netflix in Nicaragua. There you go. What do the VPNs do for you? Like help a VA get into Home Depot if they can't? Yeah, so they don't really have problem placing orders on Home Depot a lot of times, but one of them does. And then what else do they need it for? Sometimes getting into eBay, there's might be some security issues. Yeah, just one or two of them use it to place orders. Not all of them need it. Who Wants to Play says, I have a question. Who are you? Well, my name is Paul, and I run this YouTube channel, The Hustle Husbands. I drop ship onto eBay, and I average $10,000 to $15,000 a month in profit. Last month was 15. This month's going to be 15. Over $150,000 in sales a month. So that's who I am. Dante says, I'm hiring a VA now, but he has worked for a few eBay people before. Some things he knows to do are shady. I'm scared that if I give him access to my account, I might get banned for their previous use. Dante, if you're scared of that, then you shouldn't use them. There's plenty of virtual assistants out there who are really qualified, who have a ton of experience. Never feel like you are trapped into using a VA that you found or that you're currently using. There's always more virtual assistants out there. You're not the first person to have VAs help you with your store. There's so much good experience out there. Never feel trapped. There's always more out there. Peter Brand wants to know how many questions you receive in a day from customers. So that's kind of tough because I don't do all the customer service. I'd say, well, during the holiday season, it was probably like close to 70. Now it's probably 50 or so. And it's really hard to tell this time of year because it's changing so much, especially with the returns. Like returns, we would probably get like 1 a day. And now like the past 2 or 3 days, it's been like 5 a day. It's been a little more. Okay, some of the questions I had from the week were Tyler wants to know when's a good time to get virtual assistants. The best time to get a virtual assistant is when you just feel like you're overwhelmed, not even overwhelmed, when you feel like you're spending too much time doing routine tasks that are easy for you to teach someone else to do, and you're spending so much time doing those tasks that you don't have time to grow your store. And that's really the benchmark I use to when I get another virtual assistant. So Who Wants to Play wants to know why we are on here on YouTube. Yeah, so we, starting out, we had a lot of people that we watched on YouTube. We really felt inspired by their message. We really found what they had to say very helpful in helping us grow our store. We want to pay all that forward. Unfortunately, a lot of the information out there is really outdated. There's a ton of courses, but as far as we've seen, they're all outdated. So even the course I took, it was a good starting point, but really it left out so much. The game has changed so much since then, so I had to learn a lot on my own. And so I just want to pay it forward because I was grateful for those people who taught me everything I knew. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to show everyone how much the game has changed, what's new, and what you need to really know how to dropship in 2018. Okay. So let's see. Roy wanted to know when's a good time to get SKU Grid. So SKU Grid, like I've said in the past, is a software that automatically what's it called? It automatically reprices items or puts items back in stock if the price changes on your source's website. So let's say it changes on Amazon's website or Walmart's website, and it will automatically do that for you. DSM Tool does the same thing, but it does it for free up to the first 50 items. So for beginners, I really recommend you just use DSM Tool right from the beginning. I forgot to mention this in the other videos. If you want to use Home Depot, that is considered like a premium store or something. So you will have to pay $10 a month to get that, but that will also bump your number of possible listings up to 150. I think it's totally worth the $10 even for somebody who's new, because it would just make your life so much easier. So I would just use DSM Tool, pay the $10 if you have to, or just start with Amazon and get the 50 free listings. Dante wants to know, how do you separate which VA does what? so there isn't any overlap. So I hire each VA to do a specific task. 4 VAs only do orders. One VA does the best offers and some customer service. 2 of them do customer service, but they talk to each other over Skype, and that's pretty much how I organize it. We also have a software we use called Asana, Asana, and that allows us to send each other tasks. So we might say, you do this, or you do this, or I'm going to do this, and it kind of helps keep it organized. And finally, Reply Manager, which is the software we use to message our customers back and forth, allows you to what's called stay on a ticket. So if you're answering a customer question, you could stay on the ticket so that if the customer responds, it will come back to me instead of one of the other VAs. Or if a particular customer question is confusing, then the VAs will send that ticket to me so I can answer it. So right now, that's pretty much all I do is I answer these hard tickets that the VAs don't understand. And that just helps keep it organized. And you could put internal notes in there. It's a really cool program. I'll make a video on it one day, but check it out, Reply Manager. It's really cool. Benny wants to know, sales are down these days. Is it normal? Really, Benny, down compared to what? Because down compared to the last month and a half, that makes sense because that was, right before Christmas. But if it's down lower than it was early November, then then it might be a little abnormal. But I've also heard that January is a very slow month just in general. What they're doing. So Dante wants to know, how do you have VAs track exactly what they're doing so you can always pull up information when needed? Do you mean in terms of making sure that they're actually working or what? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. So let's see. Let's Get Social Info asks me if DSM tool calculates tax or account for tax. Sales tax, that is. So in other words, you buy an item from Walmart, it's listed for $20, but after tax, it's $22, let's say. So no, it will not account for that. That's part of the break-even percentage that you have to calculate, that you have to put in when you're setting up DSM tool. Rain wants to know, do I use my real name when I dropship? In other words, when I'm answering like customer questions, do I use my real name? Yeah, I use my real name. I sign off as myself. But mostly like I said, it's my virtual assistants. They're both women. And for some reason, I feel like the customers are nicer to them. I don't know if it's because they have better customer service skills or maybe, I don't know why. But yeah, I use my name. Steven wants to know what our eBay dropshipping goals are for 2018. I'm going to do a video about that because we're still trying to create a master plan for 2018. But yeah, we have high expectations for 2018. Okay, Dante wants to know, how do we track which items? So when we have a bunch of virtual assistants, how do we figure out which items have been ordered, etc.? So we use the file exchange on eBay. We download all the orders from the day into a spreadsheet. We divvy it up, and then each VA takes a part of it, places those orders, places the order number on the spreadsheet so that we know is ordered, and then emails me the spreadsheet. Just they copy and paste it into an email. And then if I want to know, did this buyer name 123 buyer, did we order his item? Then I just search in Gmail 123 buyer, and then that email comes up from the virtual assistant that says, yeah, we ordered it, and here's the order number. So that we kind of use Gmail as a filing system. Peter wants to know, do we continue to use HydroLister and SkuGrid, or we change the DSM tool? Yeah, so we're going to change the DSM tool. It actually looks pretty easy. You just download everything from SkuGrid, and you can upload it right to DSM tool. It's designed to do that because they want to make it easy for you to change over to DSM tool. Okay. So another question I had was, can you cancel HydroLister, keep SKU Grid, and then start DSM Tool? Yeah, so I'll kind of just answer this easy shop too. You can move everything over to DSM Tool. I would just start with DSM Tool. I have the link in the description below if you need a link to it. But yeah, it's pretty simple. It's much better software in my opinion. Pink Perlita wants to know how we handle Home Depot returns. Do customers send the item to me or just to Home Depot? Yeah, so they send them directly back to Home Depot. I just chat with Home Depot. One of my virtual assistants chats with Home Depot, says, I want to have this item picked up for a return. And then UPS goes and picks up the item from the customer. It's very, very easy. Yes. So Slater Documented wants to know which course to take. So like I was saying before, the unfortunate reality is that a lot of the courses that exist right now are really outdated. They don't really account for changes that have happened, all the software that exists now. So what I'm doing is I'm actually creating a new course, about halfway through it already. I'm hoping to get it released very soon, but I work a full-time job, so we'll see how quickly I can actually get it up. It's going to have everything I know, everything I've talked about in these videos, but really expand on it, actually walk you through step by step how to set up a store, how to connect it with your PayPal account, how to use DSM Tool, how I find products, how I find virtual assistants and use virtual assistants, all the softwares I use, and just everything all in one huge course. It's really going to be I'm a little nervous about it actually, because it's going to be such a big course, and I'm really putting everything into it, everything I know, all in one place. So that's going to exist. I'm also going to have a Facebook group where different members of the course can talk and ask each other for help. I'll of course be in that group to help everybody. But yeah, that's the plan. We're working on it right now, working really hard. So that's really, I think, going to cover everything. So that's the course I would recommend for sure. Steven says, Hitcham says, when do you leave feedback to buyer? Is it directly after buying or after shipping the item or after delivery? So I have it set up so that it just automatically leaves feedback after they pay. And that's it. Steven says he's paying a VA $4 an hour. Steven, what are they doing for $4 an hour? I pay some of my VAs $2 an hour all the way up to $4.50. But the one who does $4.50 is amazing. She does customer service. She's irreplaceable. So she's worth the $4.50. But I have another one doing customer service who's only $2. See, the thing is, I've tried two places to get VAs. One is Upwork. I only used to use them. But then what I discovered is that you could find VAs for much cheaper from onlinejobs.ph. I'll put the description to that in the link below. The link to that in the description below. It's also in all my videos. And because because online jobs, unlike Upwork, doesn't take a percentage of the amount that you pay the virtual assistants, you could pay them much less and they're still happy. So I'm paying a woman $2 an hour to do customer service. She's great too. And I kind of wish I'd discovered them first, because it would make my VA's fees split in half. But yeah, it really depends what they're doing. Dante wants to know what my favorite software is right now. It's DSM Tool. I'm just in love with it. It's brand new for me. Hoang wants to know, will your course be on Udemy? No, I'm probably not going to use Udemy. I'm going to use Teachable. So it will be its own independent website. I wanted to do it that way because it kind of gives me more control over it. I just don't like how Udemy kind of commandeers your course and charges whatever they want for it, and takes a large percentage of the profit, and doesn't really let you interact with your customers really, I'm sorry, with your students really well, which is what I want to do. I want to be able to do that. Pink Perlita says, is it a good idea to sell food or is it too much trouble? I don't think it's too much trouble depending on what kind of food, like non-perishables, canned food I'm sure is fine. I've actually never really sold food besides a couple of little things. So I don't have too much experience with that, but I think it could be very useful. You get a lot of repeat customers buying more than one. So I think that's a good idea. Larry says, for me, Giving Assistant dropped from 3% to 1%. Are you using a different cashback site other than Giving Assistant now? Larry, for which source is it only 1%? So it does vary from day to day. I usually just always stick with Giving Assistant because they and You Promise, which is the other one I use sometimes, are the only ones I found that are very consistent. They get probably about 90% of all my orders are registered. Dante says, how long does it take you to fully train someone to place orders? So a virtual assistant to place orders, I could have them trained in a day usually, with little bits of training after that. But you find one with experience. Everyone has bought stuff online. It's not hard to do. So if you find one who can't handle it, you just got to get rid of them. It's unfortunate, but there's plenty of people out there who know how to buy stuff online. It's very easy to do. Flipping Digits says, how much did we make this quarter? So November was $16,000 in profit. This month is not over yet. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's going to be a little more than that. Larry says Home Depot is down to 1%. I didn't notice that. Today I looked and it was 3%. So I'm not sure what, maybe it was down to 1% for just a short amount of time. Not sure. Okay, Stephen wants to know how I overcome not letting all the customer problems and returns get me in a bad mood. It really gets to me. Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, it stinks. And on a day when sales are low or sales are slow in the morning and have a lot of customer problems, it really does put me in a bad mood. I'm more emotional about it than I care to be. But that's why I have my virtual assistants do the customer service now, because I don't get too emotional about it anymore. Dante says, do your VAs do cash back? Any issues? No. No issues with it. They go through the cashback portal, Giving Assistant. No issues with that. As long as you show them how to do it properly. Raking Profits back in the house. Hey, Steve. Welcome, man. He's another eBay seller doing something a little different. Steve goes around to thrift stores and stores like that and sends the items to Amazon FBA, but he's making a bunch of money online. He's a big inspiration, that guy. Dante says, say you're doing a mass prune on your listings. Is there any way to get all the items that you taken down with SKU grid at the same time? Not that I know of. I haven't figured that out. The first time I did a mass prune, I forgot about SKU grid, so I just they're still there somewhere because I forgot which ones they are. So I kind of forgot about that. So now you just have to write down all the item numbers. Oh, that was my husband walking around half naked in the background. I think he forgot I was making a video. There he is again. Do you randomly choose items that you think are going to sell? Or do you do product research? And if so, how do you do the research? So that's going to have to be another video where I really open up Home Depot and show you. So I'll have to. I'm reading all these comments coming in. Live and uncut. What the F? All right. So yeah, so I just go into Home Depot and sort by bestseller, make sure I got at least 4 stars, and kind of choose some random items. I'll have to really pull it up and show you guys how I do that. It's buyer like a gift in home. So Hicham wants to know, is there any way to send the buyer a gift receipt instead of the receipt? So The invoice they receive will not have the amount written on it from Home Depot about 90% of the time. I've never had an issue from anyone from Home Depot receiving a Home Depot item complaining that the item's from Home Depot. I've had it with other sources, but never with Home Depot. And I think that's because the amount isn't written on the invoice. And because when people receive the box, they just assume it's a box you bought from Home Depot and that the item wasn't actually bought for Home Depot, or maybe it was bought from Home Depot and just resold to them, like traditionally. So I've never had a problem with that. I've had a problem with other sources, like I've said in the past, but that's why I mostly use Home Depot. Flippin' Digits wants to know, do I do affiliate marketing? Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I make these videos kind of like for you guys and hold myself accountable, but the links in the descriptions and in the descriptions of my blog do have affiliate links, and I've made $6 using affiliate links. So that's the extent of my affiliate marketing. Dante wants to know what my typical daily tasks are. So I wake up and I log into Reply Manager and Asana, which is that software where we can give each other tasks. And I see what my virtual assistants couldn't handle. And I handle them and tell the virtual assistants how they can handle it next time. Then I just go through my email, and then I work on whatever my next project is, which right now is creating our course. I might also do some listings because I still like to list items. And yeah, so in the morning it's taking care of those little tasks. Then I go to work. During my lunch break, I do whatever is new, like the course. And then after work, I'll work on the course some more and do some listings, which if I want to do, or work on YouTube stuff. Okay. Ray Stevens, I don't know who that is. Okay. Dante asks, so you've never heard of anyone's account getting banned from virtual assistant from previous virtual assistant use, or possible account ban on previously IPN? Ever heard of anything like that? No. So what Dante is talking about is if you kind of screw up your eBay account, you can get banned from eBay, right? And then what happens is that if eBay sees that you open up another account from the same IPN address, then that new one will get banned as well. So what Dante's worried about is that a virtual assistant, let's say in India, messes up someone else's eBay account. That eBay account gets shut down. Now you hire that virtual assistant. Now your account's going to get shut down. I guess that is possible, but if they're using a VPN, I don't know if the same IP address will show up. But I'm not really good at all that stuff, so but I've never heard of that happening. Okay. So somebody wants to know, Calvin wants to know what our next big adventure is. So my husband and I in February are going down to Florida. We are getting on a sailboat. Even though we've never sailed before, we're going to live on it for a week. We're going to learn how to sail. And we have this dream of getting a sailboat one day and sailing around. And so that's what we're gonna learn how to sail in February. We're gonna do that for a week. We're kind of really excited for it. We got all this book work we got to go through, so it's like going back to school. But we kind of like stuff like that. Once the course drops, it's going viral for sure. Say goodbye to the 9 to 5. Say hello to working from your favorite coffee shop in Brooklyn. Yeah, I would love that. We'll see what happens. I hope I really want to make a good course. So let's see what happens with it. Teachum says, I'm not from the USA. I have problems purchasing items directly from Home Depot because they not support my international PayPal. But when I buy e-gift card, no problem with that. Yeah, a lot of websites, you'll have problems ordering stuff with them, but it always works with a gift card. I've noticed this with Home Depot and with Walmart. Walmart loves to cancel orders if you're a dropshipper, but if you have a gift card, I've noticed that orders don't get canceled. The only problem is getting the gift cards. So that's kind of a way around that. Vex wants to know, do you have a way to capture eBay buyers' info as in their email so you can build a list and send future promos to them? There are ways to do that. I don't do it. I don't even know if it's allowed on eBay, but I know I've bought stuff on eBay and I've gotten messages from the sellers later with some sort of promotion. So people do it. I don't do it. Dante, yeah, you should get a VPN for your VAs. You need it. Ghost VPN is cheap, I remember. It was definitely under 100 a year. It might have been only 50 a year. Janine, what was your question? Let me scroll up. Or maybe we can ask it again. Do you research to find the best price for an item, or do you just set your own margin and just list as many items as possible? Yeah, so I find items that I think are going to sell. I have my own research technique that I use. And then when I find that, I list it at a certain margin. It's usually a lower margin. And then once it sells, I bump it up. I don't really worry about the competition. Even if other people are selling the same item, they're not going to have the same title as me. So I know that my item can still sell with my own title. Hulk wants to know any item idea on pricing for the course. We gotta see how much the platform costs, and how much time I'm going to put into it. Like I said, it's going to have everything in it that I know about dropshipping, including a whole section on VAs, how to hire and train VAs, and how to have them run your store. So that's all going to be in there. So I'll have to get that later. So Top Motivational Video says how to avoid send items in your main address in Home Depot. So Top Motivational Videos, do you mean that you sometimes order items, put in the shipping address, and then you still get the items to your billing address? Because if that happens, there's two ways to avoid it. One, you can go in beforehand, go to the address book, add the address into the address book, and then when you're checking out, select the correct address from the drop down for each item. That prevents it from happening. Or you do a guest checkout. That helps too. Dante says CyberGhost. Yeah, CyberGhost 5 is the VPN I use. Pink Perlita says, what are some good keywords to use on titles to get more selling? That really depends on what the item is, right? So for some items, I know if it has a brand name, usually I don't use brand names unless it's a popular brand. So if I was selling an Apple iPhone, I would of course use Apple, but I would never sell an iPhone. But if it was like some off brand that no one's ever heard of, then I'm not going to use that. And you also want to describe the item, whatever you're selling, and go through the Q&A that are often in product descriptions, see what people are using the item for, try to come up with something original and unique. Yeah, Becky has a great suggestion. To take down the items you've deleted in SKU Grid, go to your ended listings in eBay, copy all the item IDs, then in SKU Grid, go to Batch Options, remove items by eBay ID, and just paste them all. There you go. That is really smart. I never would have thought of that. So I'm really glad Becky's here. So if anyone wants to scroll up and see that comment, that's really brilliant way of doing it. Dante says, do you have any issues with rolling reserve or holds on your PayPal for your volume? Once in October or November, I think it might have been November, they shut down our account. They said we were selling too much and it got them worried. So we just had to call up. They said it normally takes a few days, but I said I'm not hanging it up until you fix it and like get me reinstated because I'm getting sales and this is messing things up. and they did it right then, and everything worked out. Okay. See if there's any more questions. Top motivational video says Becky is very smart. Yes, she is. Rude Boys says I have 750 items with 27,750 limit on my eBay currently. Around what average price items should I post and look for to maximize this account? That really depends on what your sales are like. If your sales are good, then just keep listing a variety of items. If you don't have many sales yet, I would suggest keeping your items under about $30, $40, because people like to impulse buy on eBay, and people are more likely to impulse buy even if you don't have a lot of like reviews or feedback or a lot of sales yet. So you want to get the impulse buys by keeping costs low. Mark's here from No BS Dropshipping. He wants to make another Skype call. Yeah, definitely. I'll be around this weekend. Dante says, did you dump SKU grid for good? That have been a lot of issues from my experience. Yeah, so today I made the decision that I'm just done with it. I was trying to list from HydroLister, and it just kept loading and loading and loading. I wasted a whole hour because I couldn't list anything. It was stupid. Christian says, how do we keep track of gift card balances when buying and making sure return funds get on the card? So for Home Depot, I just use the same 4 cards over and over again. And that's it. And then when cards get emailed to me, I, like for returns, I probably get like 5 or 6 of those a day. So I don't really even honestly keep track of them. I know I'm losing money, but it'd be too much of a nightmare. And you don't really have to, because once it's at 0, the card's empty, and if there's any returns, then they're just going to send you a new gift card. So I don't think I'm actually losing any money now that I think about it. So Let's Get Social says, have you ever heard of optimizing your descriptions and optimizing pictures? Yeah, definitely. That's something I do. Descriptions are usually fine, but for some items, and especially some sources, the descriptions are terrible, and you kind of want to fluff it up, make it your own. I find that making funny descriptions often helps. People like them, and they're more likely to convert. And with pictures, I don't ever really change pictures, but I might choose one picture over another if I think one picture is better. Where do you reload your Home Depot gift cards? So I just Google reload Home Depot gift card, and it's like gift card star or something. It's just a website that you can reload them. Merry Christmas to Steve from Rake and Profit. Merry Christmas. Rude Boy wants to know what the best source is for beginners. Is it Home Depot? Actually, I think the best source is Amazon. There's just so many items. It's so cheap. Free 2-day shipping. It's very easy to get your store going with those kind of sources. And once you get things going, then you can use another source with perhaps higher margins. Dante says you use CashStar. You haven't had any issues with them. Yeah, so I use CashStar to reload my Home Depot gift card. No, I've never had any problem with them. That's the website, CashStar. Let's see what else. Somebody wants to know if I wish I had implemented my virtual assistants earlier. So yes and no. I think I did at the right time. I kind of wish I had a customer service one working with me earlier, so I could have trained him or her earlier, because it is a lot of information. The general store manager / customer service virtual assistant, they really have to know everything you know. So the earlier you can start training them, the better, in my opinion. But they can also be the most expensive ones. So it's kind of, you kind of have to choose when's the best time in terms of how much you can afford as well. Dante wants to know, do you use Prime, or have you ever had, do you use Prime if you ever have Amazon orders? Yeah, so I do get some Amazon orders under my new account, which I haven't made an update video on, so I'm sorry about that, guys, but I'll make one soon. We have been getting sales. We do use Prime for that. I also use Prime to watch movies and on my Alexa, which I just got for Christmas. How many day you put into your shipping policy? 3-day shipping policy. How does the tax-exempt process work for dropshipping with Home Depot? So you have to apply. You first have to get a tax-exempt number from your home state, and get the proper documents to Home Depot. Once you get it all set up, then they give you a number, a tax-exempt number. You enter that into your account, and then you won't have to enter it every time you check out. But you'll have that number. Dante says, how many orders can one of your virtual assistants do in an hour? So that's a good question. And I feel like I should know the answer, and I really don't. I give them about 50, and they might finish in 3 to 4 hours. Yeah. So about 50 I give them, and they finish in about no, it's less than that. So some nights I might give them like 70 orders, and they'll finish that in 3 to 4 hours. Yeah. It really depends. It's going to take them longer than it's going to take me, just because they have slower internet connections, and they're probably just slower than I am. And that's okay. And I understand that. But you should have a general idea of how long it should take. How long does it take you? That's about how long it should take them, but a little bit more, because chances are their internet is slower than yours. Dante says, so you use your personal Prime account? No, it's not really my personal one. It's my business one, but I use my business one to watch movies and stuff. Home Depot said there's no way I could be tax exempt outside of my state. That's wrong. That's not right. I'm exempt in every state except for 7 of them. So you got to call somebody else, talk to somebody else over there at Home Depot. All right, we're going to be wrapping it up in about 5 minutes or so, maybe about 10 minutes. So if anyone has any questions. Yeah, top motivational video. My handling time is 3 days. And my shipping time is a little later. Rude Boy says, does Amazon care if you use Prime to dropship? Any problems? So they don't want you doing it. I do it anyway, but I don't use Amazon as a main source. So I don't do that a lot. Well, I'm just starting to under the new store, but we haven't had a ton of orders on there. But so far, I've used Prime for all of them and haven't had any problems. Dante says he got a lot out of this. He did 12K in profit in November. That's awesome. 12K profit. That's really awesome. Wow, congratulations. That's really huge. I'm glad you learned a lot. Let me know how December goes. Sounds like you're really crushing it. Calvin says, how can you dropship if PayPal changed their policy? Does anyone know what Calvin's talking about? That was a message he sent me. I'm not sure what policy he's talking about. So Steve wants to know, how do your VAs deal with customers that message you over and over again? So yeah, this happens. So I use, like I said, I use Reply Manager, and Reply Manager will show you all the messages from the buyer on like one screen, like same way as if you're chatting with a friend over text message or through email, actually, better example. It just looks like a regular email where you see the whole conversation. So they can see all the messages at once. They just reply to one of them and it closes out all the tickets. Yeah. So Steven says he's the 12K in profit and he doesn't have 25 VAs like I do. Uh, that's awesome, man. So that's probably a better way of doing it, like less overhead. I guess I do have a lot of overhead with that. Uh, Janine wants to know why I opened a new store. It's kind of an experiment. I've only ever used Home Depot. I do optimization, but now I'm trying Amazon and Walmart and trying the sniping method, which is kind of when you're stealing other people's titles. Just giving it a shot, seeing what it's like. I want to kind of understand how everything works in dropshipping, not just what I think works. So, it is working. I'm going to do an update showing you how well it's working. To be honest, I haven't put a lot of effort into it, but it is still already making sales. So that's a pretty cool sign. Dante says December sucks, however, his profit's down. Yeah, that happens. That's a big down though, 12-5. So I'm wondering if something happened to you, Dante, because really your profit should be up this month. So maybe you should look at your store and see if something happened or what might have happened. Ashley, I just told them how I make $1 million a month on eBay. You missed it. No, I'm kidding. Ashley says she hopes she didn't miss anything, so I'm just giving her a hard time. Where do you get your product? Is it Amazon or AliExpress? So I get my products from online retailers such as Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, places like that. Primarily Home Depot. I'm also now using Amazon and Walmart. Dante uses a whole bunch of different sources. That's probably also a smarter way of doing it. Kind of spread out the risk a little bit. That's another reason I'm trying Amazon and Walmart now. Let's Get Social says, have you thought about Shopify as a dropshipping model? Actually, that was the first way I tried to make money online. I created a Shopify store. I was going to source from just manufacturers here in the USA, big products. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Dropship Lifestyle by Anton Kraly. That's the course I took. It was expensive. I didn't make any money, and I didn't really like the course too much because I thought everything was great up until you get to the point where they try to teach you SEO and advertising. I don't think they did a good job at that. I don't know if they updated it. I just think that's a really hard subject for me, and I just couldn't master it, and that's why my store failed. So I know there's other ways to do Shopify. It's changed now. People talk about Facebook advertisements, but that's not something I'm interested in going into right now. Hulk Gamer said, I quit making good money like 2 years ago from snipers. Totally different in dropshipping now. So I think Hulk's saying that he used to make money online, but all these snipers came in and stole his listings. It's harder to make money. Yeah, it's definitely the case. It's definitely happening. But I've noticed that even if people steal my listings, I still sell the item. I think if you're the first one to the game and you make enough sales, buyers are still going to buy your items, even if people price the same item with the same title lower. Dante says a lot of his high-selling items from November sold out. Yeah, that's happened to me. If you go back through my income reports, you can go to thehustlehusbands.com and check them all out. You notice that my profit was going up and up and up and up, and then 1 month it was like a big drop, and that's because 2 items that I sold really, really well. One was sniped, and the other one sold out, and I was basically relying on those 2 items, and I didn't make sales for a whole month because of that. But then I diversified and got things going way up after that. So you just kind of got to stick it out. All right, I guess got another 5 minutes before we shut this down. So if anyone has any questions, if you guys like this, you got some value out of it, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And I do this every Tuesday. So if you have any questions for me throughout the week, leave them in the description of any of my videos. I'll get them. I'll write them down, answer them, or come by next week and watch it live then. All right, I'm gonna turn it off for tonight. But thanks, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Everyone had great questions. Like I said, feel free to ask questions for next week. And if you want to be reminded of it, don't forget to subscribe and set up the notifications so you get an alert as soon as we go live. I really appreciate you guys coming out. I really enjoy this and great questions. So I'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful new year if I don't make a video and talk to you guys then.